questions. We did get quite a few questions via email, so Ms. Carter will be answering lots of questions today. Ms. Lowe is not available today.
Quick reminder, teachers, we have faculty meetings at the beginning of each period today. Don't forget. First one will be in Ms. Kazim's room, and the rest will be in the library. Thank you.
So as you heard, Ms. Lowe is busy with faculty meetings. So, and reminding everyone we are on video, so make sure you speak loudly and clearly so everyone at home can hear your questions when it comes to that time. So Ms. Carter, would you give the magnet director's report?
All right. It'll sort of be a magnet slash principal slash just what the heck's going on around here report. How's that? So a couple of things that I've enjoyed watching from my seat lately, as we talk about more of a principal's report thing. So I don't know if you guys realize it, but the Academy program has actually done something different this year for their kiddos, and they have, it's called CCC, and I don't remember the C's right now, but they have a period for each grade level where every single kid has CCC at the same time. So the teachers can actually meet once a week and kind of plan out how they can use that time the best for their kiddos. What areas do they need support in? Do they, does this group need math? Does this group need social studies? Does this group need English? Is this group rocking and rolling and they need to be pushed a little further? So then they can then be flexible with that time and support them however they need to. This is something that Ms. Faley sort of dreamed up, and it's been really exciting to watch how things have gone, because the reality is a lot of our kids need that time here on campus to work on stuff so that they can be more successful in everything. So anyway, that's been really, really cool, and that actually sort of leads me into something else that's sort of whole school, and that's I've had fun watching Ms. Hill, as you guys know, is phenomenal, but she has been working so hard as a math department chair to work with all of the math teachers and to push all of them to do absolutely amazing things. So not just the magnet teachers, but also the academy teachers. And I'm really excited. I won't bore you with the details of the challenge that she's going to give to them on Monday in their department time, but it's good stuff, and it's going to push instruction for every single teacher on this campus. And the reality is the only way our kids, regardless of what program they're in, the only way our kids do better and get pushed to be even more amazing is for our teachers to do a better job in the classroom. So I'm really excited about the work that she's doing. We in the magnet world, I've already kind of mentioned this a few times, but we do have groups of teachers formed that are about to be rocking and rolling on that. I really did title the form "Rocking and Rolling," by the way. Anyway, we've got three groups formed. One's going to be really working on recruitment from our underrepresented elementary schools, and the big part of their task is going to be finding someone on each campus so that they can really build a relationship with, so that they can help those conversations about maybe I should apply to the magnet program early on. Because, I mean, a lot of you guys probably know that the seed is planted well before 5th grade. So that group is about to get rolling. Then we've also got a group that's going to be looking into project-based learning. I've mentioned that before, but we have that group formed and they're about to get rolling. And then, application. I was like, what's the third group? And then we've got a group of teachers just kind of looking over the application to figure out what needs to be tweaked here and there. And we've been working with the shadowing crew to get that get some of that squared away that has to be squared away now. Let's see, there's something else I just thought of, and now it's left my brain. Oh, I just recently met with, like this week, I met with the magnet department chairs, and we're about to also get a vision committee going. It's interesting with the change in leadership over the years. Apparently, it's been a while before some of those bigger picture conversations have taken place. So I'm excited about working towards facilitating some of those and really getting out of the way and letting teachers facilitate a lot of that. But it was interesting to look back at a document that was apparently created back in '07. To me, one of the first things that I think of when I think of having vision conversations is what do we want a kid to look like, and what skills do we want a kid to have, whether academic or social emotional or whatever. What does a kid look like that's the ideal perfect picture of a kid that's been through the magnet program here at Keeling? And to me, that's kind of where you start. Like they are why we're here. So what they look like is where we start, and then we figure out how in the world do we help every single kid reach that point. So, but that document created in '07, one of the very first things was a list of characteristics of a kid. So I thought that was kind of cool. But we'll start to have some of those conversations. Another little tidbit, recruiting starts next week. From what I understand, I won't be here much. So if you call me or email me and it takes me a while to get back, I'm at an elementary school at that time. So thank goodness Jenna Martin, Ms. Martin is going to be helping out with that, so I won't have to be gone all the time. But I'm excited about it. It's going to be fun.
Can you, project-based learning is the term that's been thrown out a lot. Can you tell us what it is?
Sure. So the idea with project-based learning is it's different actually. Well, never mind. It's not just doing a project, but the idea is that you literally have a guiding question or a guiding problem or a guiding thing that you're trying to solve that then pushes and essentially determines what it is that you're going to do over the course of solving this problem. And then the process that you go through as you're solving this problem or creating this whatever product, that's how the learning takes place. And that, as you can imagine, that I know that description is pretty, that's pretty broad and vague. And that's one of the things that makes project-based learning difficult. It's not just, it's harder to have a class where it's a little more free-flowing and a little more student-driven, and to be able to facilitate it in a way and provide guiding questions along the way so that the learning still takes place that needs to take place. It's a challenge. It's hard. But ultimately it's more student-driven, and in the process of creating some pretty amazing things, kids can learn a ton. Another piece of it, ideally, is that you also incorporate more than one content area at a time. Doesn't mean that you have to, but lots of project-based learning does involve more than just math or more than just science, etc. So, there you go.
Thank you.
Sure.
That helps. All right, so this is our open discussion and question time. I think we're going to try to make this about 20 minutes long. So we have a few questions from the outside, but I will let the parents from the inside get started. Yes?
Is there still a keyboarding requirement And could you explain what that is?
The question is about keyboarding, whether it's required.
Yeah, I need a counselor real quick. So there are courses that have keyboarding as a prerequisite. I'm not going to pretend to list them all off the top of my head because I'll mess it up with my luck. But you don't have to have keyboarding to leave middle school. We do have keyboarding class, obviously, and what we've done this year, and this is partially, I was around in the spring to see a lot of confusion and debacle around high school credit versus not. So what we've done this year, just FYI, we started the year, every single kid that's in keyboarding right now is in the non-high school credit course. We decided not to start with some and this one some, because that's just confuses everyone. So that way, those kids who are in keyboarding, who would like to get high school credit, we can certainly make that change so that they can. It's very similar, I mean, yeah. Did that help?
So is it required or not?
For middle school, no. It is required as a prerequisite for some courses.
But not in itself.
But not, you do not have to have keyboarding to leave middle school.
Okay, so do you have to have keyboarding to get out of high school or as a prerequisite to high school courses?
You know about the test people used to take, right? You could either take the test or you could, but then they didn't check. So some people didn't take the test and they didn't take the class, and it just kind of, I mean, I'll just be honest, my son didn't do it. But then you were supposed to. You were supposed, and then it was, the question was whether the district was checking that. So I think they're asking, is it a requirement now or is it not a requirement?
Are we still under the radar?
Yeah.
Well, that's a very hard question to answer. I mean, and
say that.
if you haven't gotten to know me, then you are about to find out. I'm about as transparent as you can get. I mean, there are a lot of things at the middle school level that are a little, there's more gray area in middle school. Okay, once you get to the high school level, it's cut and dry. The state says you have to have these credits to do this, and boom, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, I mean, I'll be very, very honest and say I would need to check to be 100% certain that I'm not telling you the wrong thing. What I've shared so far is the best I can do. And so I have written it very large at the top of this piece of paper, and I'll get with our counselors and be sure that we get the correct information out there.
And the counselors will be here next week, so.
Oh,
maybe they
yeah,
can-
perfect. Ooh,
yeah.
save
Next
that one.
October,
Parking lot, yeah.
October 9th. Okay, in the back?
I am a little confused about what you just said about the existing keyboarding classes. My son's in keyboarding, and they told us at back to school night that it was high school credit.
Well, it
So
can
is
be.
that correct?
It can be.
Or you said
And-
everyone's enrolled in a non-high school credit one.
Yeah, and it's purely the number. It's pure, like 01840R is the current, I mean, you don't want to know that, but that's the course number that's in there right now. But what we'll do is those who are wanting to, and we're going to find out, you know, who wants to receive high school credit, who doesn't, and we'll go in and change the course number, and that's the only thing. The kid will not even know the difference. We just change the little number in the
So you could have
computer.
kids in the same classroom taking, some taking
It
high
is
school credit and
possible.
some taking non, okay.
It is
All right.
possible.
So maybe it will need further, you know, each parent or kid will have to, you know, make sure that they're getting what they want.
Yes, but
Okay.
don't worry, we're gonna reach out and ask those questions.
Okay.
Sorry, to me, the next follow-up, I have a child in keyboarding too. So what's the benefit of high school credit versus the drawback of high school credit for keyboarding? Just keyboarding.
Does your kid love keyboarding?
No kid loves keyboarding.
Is your kid committed to doing
That's
well in
awesome.
keyboarding?
That's awesome.
Keyboarding.
I mean,
What- somebody-
I guess if you're playing the numbers game,
Right.
then The downfall would be, even if you get 100, it's not weighted, so you get 100 factored into your GPA. And that GPA, a course taken in middle school is factored into the GPA that's the cumulative number that will go to colleges. It is not factored into the ranking GPA. So if your numbers game is more about class rank, then, I mean, that's the downfall, I would say. The positive is you have a 0.5 high school credit. I mean,
And a great skill for
that's
life.
right. And seriously,
Are we all glad we can type?
I was sounding a little sarcastic there, but I do seriously. I mean, what I've said to many parents and kids is, I mean, y'all all know. I mean, our kids are going to be typing even more than we do for the rest of their lives. So to be able to do it proficiently is huge. I don't know, raise your hand if you're a hunt and pecker. Any hunter and peckers out there? Yeah, it takes a while, right? But if you can just, then your life's gonna be easier. So it's a good thing.
And Ms. Carter touched upon GPA. The counselors, they do a really good job of explaining cumulative GPA, and there's another GPA. So if anybody has any specific GPA questions, I would encourage you to hold on to them until the counselors meeting, because they do a great job of breaking it down.
Ryan?
So I have a question about the late bus. I know there's been a lot of discussion about drop-off locations. That's not actually, there's certainly an issue out there about that. But Ms. Carolyn and I have been kind of knocking heads with the folks at transportation because it seems the presentation that's been made to parents about the late bus seems to suggest that the coverage for the late bus is the same as the coverage for the regular bus schedules before and immediately after school. And that's actually not the case. According to transportation, they've adopted a policy where activity buses do not go to school catchment zones where the schools, the elementary schools, are within 3.5 miles of the magnet programs. I don't know if this is true of Fulmore, but this is certainly what both Ms. Carolyn and I have been told by the folks at transportation. This means that neither Lee nor Maplewood, and I'm sure that there are other schools on the other sides of the Keeling campus that are not being served by the activity bus at the moment. You can't really tell this until you take all of the route maps and kind of put them together, but the entire area of Hyde Park and Hancock, for instance, is excluded from any of the zones. And so I've had several days where my son has gone out to the late bus and the bus drivers are telling him, okay, you can't get on the bus because we don't go to where you live. Which means that there's a significant population of folks here for whom the choices are either you can't do any of the after-school stuff or you're going to have to arrange private transportation. So what I really like, because this is a district policy, is I'd really like to get both the Keeling Magnet and the Keeling PTA to adopt official positions saying, we don't like this, this is not the way that we think we should be going. Because what it's resulting in is transportation saying effectively, we expect our kids, while we would drop them off at elementary schools at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at 5 o'clock or 5:30, we expect them to walk as much as an hour to get home, even if it means crossing 35 or crossing other major transportation roadblocks to kids walking. And I know that, like I said, Ms. Carolyn has been great in helping us out, but this seems like something that we need to get AISD to address, and apparently it's been done at a board level, so.
Really?
That's what transportation is.
Is this recent? I've never heard this.
This
What's
is,
the rule normally? Is it 2 miles?
the normal rule according to transportation is 2 miles.
2 miles, right?
But they make exceptions for magnet programs. And magnet programs are set by basically board discretion, what the policy is going to be, even though the regular policy says 2 miles. And so that's why Lee is just at 2 miles from the school. And so Lee has gotten service through the regular bus system, but they've adopted a different policy with respect to activity buses.
Because I know there was a parent who had this problem with her child who they lived around airport. It was a neighborhood family who lived like 1.9 miles away, and they couldn't get a bus because that's different.
Yeah.
I actually heard a rumor that Callan killed their late buses. It's true.
I'm not aware.
And I'll add too that the 2 miles is also if there's a major,
Okay.
I-35, if there's a
They'll make
traffic
an exception.
hazard, they'll make an exception.
And so you've already pursued this to the head of transportation,
As
and,
has Ms. Carolyn. There are theoretically, and this is the avenue that Ms. Carolyn is still investigating, transportation has said that they will support one-off, they call it tutoring buses or tutoring vans. She's investigating, and those are at the request of the school. She's investigating whether that's something that could be set up or whether that's truly a one-off option. But at the moment, AISD Transportation's policy is to say we will not do activity buses within a 3.5-mile radius.
okay, for those of you on the video, I'm not sure if you heard this, but the issue is that kids who live within 3.5 miles of Keeling are not served by the late bus. They're served by the morning bus, and they're served by the bus right after school, but apparently transportation says according to board policy they're not served by the late bus, so they're out of luck if they have to stay after school or if they have an activity. So the question is, the feeling is that there's a need to go to the board about this. Well, that brings, that's interesting. We are having an election soon, and the board will be, there will be a new majority on the board. There are 5 of 9 seats up for election, and only 1 incumbent is running. So this is really going to be a changing of the guard, and the last election was also a big changing of the guard. So, basically in a 2-year span, there'll be a almost complete, possibly complete changing of school board members. And we don't know, for the most part, how those members, how the candidates view magnets. This was a subject for my co-chair's report, but I'm just going to say it here. The magnet programs are sponsoring a forum for the candidates. And I want all of you to mark this on your calendars because it's really important. And it's really important for people to be there. And I wouldn't tell you that if it weren't true. It's not just enough to, know that a friend's going and have them tell you about it. It's important to be there. It's Sunday, October 9th, 4 p.m. at LBJ. LASA is hosting it. 19th, I'm sorry. Sunday, October 19th, 4 p.m. at LBJ. And there are 2 important reasons to be there. One, of course, is to be informed about your choices when you're voting. But the second is so that these candidates who may or may not have had any exposure to magnets will know that magnet parents are active and involved. This is important because there are a lot of myths out there circulating about magnets. That magnets are elitist, that they only serve wealthy kids, that they take more money, which is not true. And I think that I've certainly seen people who are possibly frustrated with the neighborhood schools and how they're doing, attributing some of those problems to magnets. So I think it's really, really important for magnet parents to be seen and heard. And it's very important, I think, if you are a candidate trustee and you are come to the LBJ forum and you see 20 parents in the audience, you're going to think, oh, I guess magnet parents are not very involved. Maybe I don't have to be concerned about them. But if they see 100 people in the audience, I think they will remember that. So I would like to encourage all of you to attend that, and there will be an opportunity to submit questions. So that'll be a really good time to do that.
Question about that. Have you reached out to PF LASA about that? Because I know they have someone who's also working on a forum.
We're working with them.
Okay.
Yeah, Anne Marie Reed, who was a KMag co-chair last year, now has a child at LASA, is organizing that, and I'm working with her, and now we're gonna reach out to Fulmore and make sure that they're involved. So thank you, yes, we're all working together on that.
And Richards too.
Ann Richards is not technically a magnet, yeah, so, and you know, we've had a very short time, we kind of,
You gonna reach out to also, or not? You want-
I don't know,
Okay.
let's talk about it, yeah, there may not be time, but, Laura, did you have a question or something to add?
I completely agree with everything you just said, and I'm thinking that this issue is actually not just a magnet issue, because really, if you go to Lee or Maplewood, you feed to Keeling. So if you're in the neighborhood program or in the magnet program, you're not getting that late bus, even though you live 3.4 miles away or whatever, so that's something to,
Excellent point,
yeah.
excellent point. Yes.
Do you know if, as part of this discussion or at another time, they'll be talking about GT programs in elementary schools in the district?
I doubt if that's gonna be a part of the magnet forum, just because, because there's so many candidates, and they will each have an opportunity to answer questions. If we're gonna, make it just a couple hours long, there's only time for a few questions. So I think it probably won't be covered, there'll probably be more magnet-specific questions. But, there's also going to be a combined AC PTA, which Austin Council of PTAs and League of Women Voters Forum. Does anyone offhand know when that is? I meant to look that up before I came, but it's coming up as well.
If it's not ACPTA, then,
Anne Marie said that it was combined.
well, you just did that.
Oh, okay, well, I might be wrong on that. So, okay, any other questions? More questions about anything?
And just a reminder for Videoland, October 19th, Sunday, bring your friends, tell your friends, LASA, Magnet Forum.
Yes.
Will you send out a reminder?
Yes.
We will be sending out all sorts of things.
We'll send reminders. I'll
I'm gonna show up at your house and remind you, I'm gonna pick you up. Right.
Oh.
I have a minivan, I can take a lot of people. What else?
Just to follow, are we going to do anything about the issues that this gentleman brought up? I think you asked if we would be willing to support a statement or
Yeah.
do something. I'm not sure. Are we going to do something?
Okay, yes, Ryan.
Not knowing exactly how the organization works, I mean, I would be delighted if we could have a resolution that KMag adopted, that we could say, we've taken an official position as an organization. If that's something that needs to happen, something that drafted and then approved at the next meeting, I think that's fine.
If you,
But
you know what, this is the first time we've ever had such a request, I'm sure we can do it. We can have a vote on that. If you have some text, bring it.
I can do that.
Actually send it, and to us, and we'll circulate it on the Hornet Herald.
And then we can put it
And-
on the minute, or on the agenda for the next meeting.
Absolutely,
If you
and
know,
we'll
that'd be
vote on
great.
it. Thank you, Yolanda, for making sure that, I got a little lost in the other
It was important
discussion.
though. It was important.
Thank you.
And we can put that on the PTA, but,
Yes.
That would be great.
can I just make a quick announcement then?
Yes,
About
Laura.
that? Okay, so, October 9th at McCown High School is Districts 1 and 4. These are the candidate forums that the League of Women Voters are doing. October 9th is at McCown High School is Districts 1 and 4. October 14th at Crockett High School is Districts 6 and 7. October 16th at Martin Middle School is District 9 at large. And I think, I don't have a piece of paper with the exact times, but I understand there's 6:30 to 7:30, I believe. So 6:30 to 7:30.
Will you email me those, and thank you very much, and I will, I'll circulate them widely. And so, that's a good point. So most of the districts are geographical for certain areas of town. There is one at large, the whole district. So you'll be voting for 2 trustees. And we'll be having all of them. We're inviting all of them to our forum. So that's again why there'll be so many candidates answering questions. Okay, more questions? Should we go to the,
I have a question about GT. I saw the GT application form, and I just want to know what's the benefit for a magnet student or if you're talented?
question is, is there any benefit to a magnet student getting designated or tested for GT?
To me, the big benefit, a lot of our magnet kids are GT kids, and honestly, every magnet class is geared towards a GT type kid. So as far as what they would receive here, it's not going to be terribly different. At the same time, that GT designation follows them from that point forward. And I mean, you know, just purely from a, I don't know, I don't typically think purely from the administrative paperwork side of things, but just purely from that perspective, it's nice to have your kids appropriately identified so that you know. The more you know about any group of people, whether it's kids or adults, the better you can take care of them and serve them. So that's, you know, that following them from that point forward is certainly a good thing. Yeah.
I have something to add to that.
Add away.
Last year at the budget meeting that we had at one of the KMag things, there was a big discussion about AISD provides money for GT to the schools that have identified GT. And so I asked the question, I think I asked the question, Keeling already gets that money because of the magnet program. Like, it's not his child versus my child. Like, it's per student, you get this money. Anybody remember this?
I remember it, I just don't remember what the answer was.
So we already get the money whether we're identified or not because
Yeah, that
as a
was
lump
true.
sum for our student body of magnet.
Do you have something to add to that, Laura?
Can I just say we had a big discussion about this at Plaza last week because
Oh.
Stacia Krasinski is actually asking people to go ahead and get their children identified if they're not already, and to consider it. I don't mean I don't want to put words in your mouth. It's a family decision if you want to, but the reason she was saying I want to make sure everybody thinks about it is because currently there is no funding associated. She's like, in the future there could be. So like her argument for why her magnet needs to exist is she's like, we have all these GT kids who need to be served. They are a special population, and then the district will say, well, you only have half your kids are identified GT, so only half your kids are really GT. She goes, no, they all are. They just didn't go through the hoops because it wasn't necessary. And so that's why she was saying, I mean, because there really isn't that much more you need to do. They've already taken the test. That's you know, they've already done. They just have to get some more samples together. So that's something to consider. And because of what Ms. Carter just said, that if they do go to a different district or a different, you know, they would then be able to be identified there.
Thank you, Laura.
We need
One, if you could do one quick question, we got a lot of questions
yeah.
submitted from people that weren't able to be here today that probably will answer some of our questions. So if you have one quick follow on.
Just a quick follow-up to what Laura said. Also, I would think for outside grant applications, should that happen, that would be a very important designation on a fundraiser. So,
Oh, okay.
and then the other quick one is if your child is identified in elementary school, that doesn't carry over, does it?
It
does.
Absolutely.
I'm told that stays with them for their entire
Yes,
schooling career.
that's correct.
And AISD,
Yeah,
not beyond.
Okay, Ms. Carter, I have some questions for you that came from our population that wasn't able to be here today, but these questions will apply to some of us and our friends. And starting with an easy question, we'll start easy. Do you know when our website will be updated with the new application, testing dates, and right now it's to be
Right.
announced, but do you have an idea of when parents should start telling their friends to check the website?
Soon, very soon. We won't have the new application on there until, I would say, late October at the latest. But as far as dates being updated, Ms. Carolyn recently was trained on the website. So now she has the ability to change stuff, and she's been working with our shadowing folks to get some of that updated, and she'll continue to work, I would say, this is Thursday. I almost said by the end of this week have new dates up, and that may be realistic, depends on how much she gets interrupted. So having just new dates up there soon, very soon. The new application would be the end of October.
Okay. And then on a related question, do you anticipate the size of the magnet program growing?
So the size of the magnet program is very dependent on the size of the academy program. So obviously we can only take so many kiddos in this facility. I will say that the enrollment of the academy program is up some this year. And we actually do have a few more magnet kiddos this year. So we're full. In fact, we're full enough on the academy side that we gained a couple more teachers. So the district even supported that with a little extra staffing. I'm talking around the answer. It depends.
Okay.
Is the answer. Yeah.
So every year you set a level, looking at
Okay.
Right.
projections.
We look at the projected enrollment of the academy program and say, all right, so we can handle this many more kids.
So it's a capacity issue.
Mhm.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then you had mentioned new teachers for the academy program. I know some of the magnet teachers left last year. Do you have names? Could you just briefly introduce what the names of the new teachers and what classes, if you
Sure.
have them off the top of your head?
Absolutely. So we've got a new, as you guys may know, Mr. Holzgraf retired, and that was pretty crazy. He was here back when I taught here, and probably well before that. Anyway, his position was filled by Kate Bergman. She actually was his student teacher a few years ago, so that was sort of, I don't know, that's kind of cool. But she's doing a spectacular job so far. She's in 7th grade science. And then, as you guys may know, Mr. Sid left. He moved up to the Northwest. So Mr. Nattenberg, Michael Nattenberg, has filled that SMEA spot. And he, let me tell you, I don't want to in any way speak poorly of any other hires, but as far as people that I'm extremely excited about, man, he's one of them. If you haven't met him yet, you need to. He's got an energy that is just contagious.
What class is this?
And SMEA, it's the 6th grade elective that all kids take. Science,
math, inquiry,
Thank
and
you.
analysis.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you.
6th grade parents.
Is that all he teaches?
Yeah, well, he's got one section of the mentorship class. And then Derek Keller, Mr. Keller is our new Latin teacher. And he's got about the most calm presence of any person I've ever interacted with, which I have not yet managed to make it into his room, but Ms. Lowe was saying the other day, she's like, I walked in and it was just like, I need to just go in his room to relax sometimes. So that apparently is also contagious. So there you go.
Okay, well, I have one more kind of magnet-related question, and then there have been a lot of questions about Living Tree on the Healing Community Board, so I want to address that next. But as far as, there was one question about magnet electives, and Principal Lowe had mentioned that some of the some of the academy kids, there's going to be some kind of combining, or not combining, but making more of the classes eligible for the whole school rather than just the magnet school. So the question was brought up, how will that work, and which will any of the electives be changing?
Yeah, so what's fascinating is there's nothing that really changed. Magnet electives have been open to everybody all along. What changed last spring is how that was communicated and how that was presented when it came time for kids to make choices. In the past, it was more of a, okay, academy kid, here you go, fill out your choice sheet. Oh, and if you want to, you can take these. Well, as you can imagine, not a whole lot of kiddos chose to take the, oh, and if you want to take these, you can list. So this past spring, what we did is the choice sheets, whether you were Magnet or Academy, looked very, very similar. You've got, I mean, and well, y'all saw them. There's a whole lot of choices on there. So the one stipulation is that the majority of the Magnet electives do require that an Academy kid is at least at the pre-AP level. So like, for example, if you're taking microbiology as your elective in science, well, you need to be in pre-AP science, okay? So, and that's recognizing the fact that the Magnet electives are, I mean, they're tough. I mean, our teachers try to make them fun and enjoyable and not a huge workload, but still, the stuff they cover is pretty amazing, which I need to go to some of them. So that requirement is there, but it's just, it's open to everyone. Just in glancing, there's a few more Academy kiddos that chose to take some Magnet electives, but not a drastic change necessarily. And we're working constantly to be sure that everything maintains the integrity of the class and pushes the kiddos that are in there to really stretch their brains. So.
Well, thanks for clarifying that, because I mean, I had remembered that had always been the case.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it just makes a lot of sense. It's just a common sense thing that if there's space available, that everyone should be able to do it. So thank you.
And I know we said we're a little over what we were anticipating closing the meeting, because we do have a couple of business items. But as some of you may have been aware, Living Tree's been a hot issue on several of the parent groups. So now that we have Ms. Carter here, I'm going to bring up some questions that were brought up by a couple parents. And one of the questions was, if we have Living Tree, will other forms of communication be eliminated? Is the goal to just have Living Tree be the only mode of communication, or?
Yeah, eventually, it's gonna result in streamlining, yes. Not anytime soon, because we don't want anybody to not get information.
Okay.
But.
So related then, if someone is not on Living Tree, will they still get the communication other ways for now?
Yes, for now, yes.
Okay.
Until we are confident that that's gonna be a good mode, then yes.
Okay. And then the next question one of the parents had was for classes. Are there some classes that are requiring the students to be on Living Tree?
I know that Mr. Applegate and Ms. Hart are the two teachers that have really taken off with it. And yeah, I mean, the kiddos in their classes are gonna miss out on some stuff if they're not on there. I mean, it's not like, I don't know, I would never say that we're gonna allow a kid to fail if they don't do something like that, but.
So on a related note, I had a parent mention to me that they've been in their household, they've not let their kids be on social media, and they're concerned that Living Tree is another form of social media. So that's sort of part one, but part two is there a privacy policy that our school has looked at in terms of protecting student information, parent information, before we signed up for Living Tree? Like, has that all been looked at by the school?
And that's actually one of the beauties of Living Tree is, yes, its format is very much like Facebook, as far as you've got posts and all of that. The reality is we live in a world where social media is, I mean, it's here to stay, period. And to me, middle school is a perfect time for kids to start learning how to use it responsibly. And this is a completely private venue for them to do that. So, yeah, it's private. It's not like, you know, Joe Blow somewhere can look and see what we're posting within Living Tree. It's not like Facebook where it's not private. It is a private network for Keeling. So, you know, we're hopefully providing an opportunity for kids to start to learn how to use it appropriately and productively instead of
Thank you for
For-
explaining
yeah.
that. No, thank you.
Sure.
And since we are way over time, I guess we'll just continue on with the business part of the meeting and approve the minutes. Has everyone seen the minutes on the tables? Does anyone have any questions about the minutes? Could we have a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second? Minutes are approved.
Wait, all in favor, say aye.
Oh,
Aye.
Yeah, all
Thank you, Amy.
opposed, nay? Okay, that passes. Okay, is there any committee chairs who need to make a committee report? I didn't see anyone here, but have I missed anyone? Anyone would like to make a report? Okay, Ken, treasurer's report?
So we recently got our IRS certification, so we are officially 501(c)(3) corporation now. So the donations that you do make, you'll get a letter for this tax year so that you can include that as part of your tax preparation. We've got the new bank account set up. I've got signature cards that we're going to take care of today, and ACF. Just like everything else, there's a certain window of time it takes them to get checks processed, but within the week we should have the funds that are currently there, so we can take that check and deposit it into this one. They weren't able to cut the check to us until we had our IRS certification, so that's what we've been waiting on. Beyond that, was happy to see this morning that we have 23 donations that total about $3,700, so with the couple of checks we had prior to that, so far we've done about $4,000 worth of donations. So the average on is pretty high, roughly $150 per. And we're happy, and it's going to allow us to start taking care of some of the things. We do have some requests for payment back to the teachers for various things. One we see every year is dissection of chicken wings for biology. So we actually buy the wings. We don't get to eat them afterwards. But anyway, we'll be looking at these in our executive meeting after this, and going forward, we'll tell everybody what things that we've approved, so you guys have an idea of where your hard-earned dollars are being spent. So.
And thanks to Gita Suggs, we have online PayPal, and today she's here with a swipe card. So if anyone wants to make their donation, you can make it today at the end of the meeting. So real quick, she'll do it right there. But thank you so much for setting that up online. As she told us last night, we have about, I think, 25 or
29, I think.
$2,900 already donated online. So thank you all in Videoland for your donations. And like I said, see her after the meeting today.
And I'll point out that because we are talking about your hard-earned money, there will be more of it for the program now that we're on our own, with our own 501c3 rather than with Austin Community Foundation. Any checks that you donate, 100% will go to the to teachers and the program. In the past, that was not the case. Austin Community Foundation charged us a lot of money. Sometimes it was even in the double digits. Especially when you got into online donations. So now with PayPal, it's only 2.2%. So, and 0 for checks. So this is going to make a big difference for us, and we're going to be able to do a much better job of getting teachers their reimbursements quickly. It's a good thing all around. It's a little more work, but we're very, very pleased that we're on our own. So,
yeah, we will have things like tax returns and things that we have to use a CPA to pay for, but the expenses for those admin costs will be significantly less than what we pay through ACF.
Absolutely. All right, well, I think the only other thing in the co-chair's report is everyone remember the McCallum Fine Arts Showcase is on Thursday, October 2nd from 7 to 9. Melissa, do you have anything to add?
We had a question.
Oh, sorry.
Was there a question?
Oh, I can tell you after.
Okay. Do you have anything to add,
Um,
co-chairs?
No. Do we have a PT? Is there a PTA report real quick?
Actually, we have a PTA liaison is gonna be New Sheng Feng, but I don't know if any of you saw, she came in, she had a family emergency and had to leave.
Oh, goodness.
So she's gonna be the person every KMag meeting who does
Great.
the report. So I'm Laura DiCarlo.
Would you like to come up to the front, Laura?
Oh, you're in front of that table?
Hello. Okay, so for the PTA report, I want to say that did you all hear the announcement that Saturday we are having a grounds day? So that's from 9 till noon. This Saturday, it's the Green Apple Day of Service, which is all over Austin. There'll be service projects, and we're going to be weeding and watering and pruning and working on our vegetable gardens and all that. And there'll be lots of exciting snacks, and the kids can get service credit. So. Also, want to talk about fundraising committee. We do now have a box top chair, which is very exciting because we make almost $1,000 from no cost. Is that, Jillian? Is that all of our things, or just box tops? Is like
Last year was $922 in box top.
that's pretty impressive. So there's going to be a contest that's going to be coming up in October because they're going to be due November 1st because they only pay out, box tops only does it twice a year. So we have to hurry with that. So be looking out for that information. But it would also be really helpful to have another person helping Sarah Eller, who just volunteered to do box tops, because we also want to do labels for education and keeping track of Amazon, all kinds of no-cost fundraising. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We had spiritware sales last Friday and Monday, so hopefully your children knew about that, and if they wanted to buy a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, did go ahead during the cafeteria, during the lunches in the cafeteria they're selling. Oh, Yolanda, you're here. You want to say anything about it?
I think on Monday, Joan sold about $95 worth of,
Exactly right.
of spiritware.
Yay.
I only sold a $2 car sticker on Friday, to me. But we will
It's
probably
available if they want, right?
we're trying to get sales twice a month. We're going to have another one in early October.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you'd like to volunteer, it's sitting a couple hours at lunch. You can watch the kids.
It's fun because you can observe them, you know. Okay, we still need a parliamentarian. That's a person who understands Robert's Rule of Orders, or even if you don't understand it, you'd be willing to learn. And for our meetings that are the first Monday or the first Tuesday of every month at 7:30, that's our executive meetings. And then also it's nice to have that parliamentarian for all our general meetings as well, which are throughout the year. You guys have a schedule of that. So let's see, new communication. Oh yes, we're thinking about a new committee that would be helping feeder schools. So we're working on that. So if you're interested in working with feeder schools, let me know. And when I say feeder schools, it's not only, we talked about earlier, Maplewood and Lee, but also Blackshear, Oak Springs, and Campbell are all our elementaries that feed to Keeling, our neighborhood schools. Okay? And I know that Ms. Carter is working on helping make sure that those kids are getting the information about applying to our magnet, but we're also talking about helping support those PTAs, because some of them are really struggling. Some of them don't have active PTAs. So I have a dual role. I'm also the Austin Council of PTA's McAllen Vertical Team Chair. So I'm working with them, because actually even though they feed to Eastside Memorial, Campbell feeds to McAllen, but Blackshear and Oak Springs feed to Eastside, but they're in the McAllen Vertical Team because they come to Keeling. Okay, and the Hornet Herald that has been done through PTA is actually going to, we talked about that 2 weeks ago, it is going to start being done through Kendra Wheeler, the magnet, or the principal secretary. So that's going to be, we'll let you know a change for if you ever want to submit anything to the Hornet Herald.
But who's going to pay for it? Because the PTA has paid for it.
Yeah, we will continue this year, and we'll be figuring that out for the future. And Keeling Center Stage is a big deal, and that's the last thing, sorry to be so long. Keeling Center Stage is going to be in between March, April sometime. We don't have our exact date. What that is, anybody who's gone to Lee Live, we learned about Lee Live years ago, and we started doing our own. It's a night of bands play. We've had barbecue in the past. We could have other food in the future, who knows. And it's an auction, live auction, silent auction, dancing, fun, alcohol, so it's kid-free. It's just a total fun night but the PTA doesn't have anything to do with the alcohol. And but it's at a venue outside of the school. So so we need people to join the committee who are interested in helping with that. You know, to head up the auction, to head up. In the past I've headed up the food. I'm willing to help with that again. So that is Susan Lowe is in charge of that. So there'll be something in the Hornet Herald this week. You can respond to her about it. Okay?
Thank you.
Sorry to be so slow.
No, thank you so much. Okay, real quick, a couple things. I remembered one of the questions that I had received that pertains a lot of people have been asking. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade field trips. Number one, we're going to need chairs. I know we have a 7th grade field trip chair. Is that correct? Thank
Yes.
you, Vita. I believe we still need a 6th and an 8th grade field trip. And to know why you want to lead a field trip and help organize the field trips. Ms. Carter, where are the field trips going this year?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, no. Honestly, the grade level ones, I don't know yet. However, here's some of the things that classes are doing so far. We've got animal studies, we'll be heading to the San Antonio Zoo. Parks and Rec, we'll be heading to the Bastrop State Park. Marine biology is headed to the UT Marine Science Institute. Trying to read my writing. Explore Austin will be going to the Texas Rowing Center, and Harry Potter will be headed to the Renaissance Festival. So, yeah.
And so therefore, that's another reason too, a lot of these field trips are made possible by donations to KMag, so thank you for that and for making these possible. Last but not least, we had forgotten to mention the book club. We have, Ms. Carter has chosen a book for our book club, and do you want to speak about your book and
Sure.
what is it?
It is Building Resilience in Children and Teens, Giving Kids Roots and Wings. The author is Kenneth R. Ginsberg. It is pretty much, its title tells you what it's about quite clearly. But this is something that, we definitely talk about as a faculty. And that's the fact that, I don't know how many of you have already heard me say this, but one of the greatest things that kids can have and that people can have is just grit, the ability to face adversity and get through it. Sometimes you may fail along the way, and you got to be able to pick yourself back up and keep on going. So this book focuses in on specifically children and teens and how to build that resilience within them. And it talks both from the school perspective and a home perspective. So it's a good book.
Could you repeat the title?
Sure. It's Building Resilience in Children and Teens, Giving Kids Roots and Wings.
And do you have a date for when we'll be discussing the book after? It's after the meeting, right?
Yes, it was last year, as I recall, and I don't know for sure.
Usually we do it 4 weeks after we announce it, just,
Okay.
it seems like
So,
reasonable
okay.
enough
We
to-
will
I'm
announce-
assuming that works with Ms. Carter's schedule.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the date, and at the next meeting we'll have it on the
Tentatively in
agenda.
2 meetings after this meeting is when.
Okay. Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate it. So without, and so everyone knows in Videoland and everyone here today, thank you for coming. We usually do try to keep the meetings to right about an hour so everyone can get on with their day. I know the first couple meetings were a little bit longer. So thank you for coming today, and we are adjourned.